The podcasts have returned, and the HD Reality Check is going into full-on Redux reboot mode. This is MultimediaJay radio style for Sunday, April 8th, 2018. Let's start the show.
MultimediaJay radio style.
Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Anybody out there? Anybody still want to listen to these things, considering I've been away from them for just under a year, and I've been away from the HD Reality Check since, who knows? I've kind of lost track. This whole night shift job thing has kind of made me a little, lose track of some things, and heck, I'm even doing things out of order right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the return of MultimediaJay Radio Style, the podcast that I discontinued in the spring of 2017 because I thought the neighborhood would be a little on the noisy side, and I was right. But I went too far in the other direction. Other than talking about the official end-of-life whatever it was of MP3 a month later, I was a little too timid about doing podcast-type stuff. But then I was like, you know what? The show flow on the other video upload thingies on this channel isn't there. I spend too much time talking and not enough time doing stuff. I need to have something that's narrative-driven. So I basically shied away from podcasts way too much. Heck, I even made Plotagon cartoons to talk about stuff that I could have otherwise made a podcast about during the last year. But if you thought that the podcast in disguise that I do on here from time to time was dead, you were wrong. Some things have changed as I've started to finally have a bit of a sleep schedule, and now I'm back to my good old disorganized stuff. Doing content completely out of order. So welcome back to the show, everybody. Let's pick up the pieces and move forward. Heck, this microphone even still works. I didn't have to bust out the Behringer. I can still do things with Blue Yeti. Yeah, keep things digital until it's time to, don't have to go from analog to digital back to analog. You know how it all goes. So a little side business before we get into our main discussion about the HD Reality Check. For those of you who thought that maybe the last quick O-flick about the Maelstrom shoes was a little disjointed, yes, you'd be correct. That is part of the next WWMJ where I try and get things reorganized. There's a little something I've been doing with the quick O-flicks called killer clips. If one of the clips that I record is good enough to stand on its own, or people using the search engine might find the channel via what I'm discussing in that clip, I will try to make it into a quick O-flick video, so that way a little bit of SEO and whatnot can bring some traffic in the mainstream audience over to this channel. So yes, that will be part of the next WWMJ, which is about cleaning things up from this whole night shift, getting used to so much stuff type thing. So yeah, it was a little disjointed, but there's more coming, and we're all out of order now because I'm making this podcast before I finish that upload. So a little out of order on the publish dates here. Or should I say, recording dates. So there might be a little bit of disjointed stuff as I get things back in shape around here and whatnot. So, okay. Anyways, on to the topic that you're seeing from the picture that I'm uploading about the HD Reality Check. It is time to take the topics that I brought up in the HD Reality Check and go full-on Redux reboot mode with that stuff. Because one of the changes that I want to make for 2018 is to move away from the vloggy type stuff, once and for all. I've had constant problems with vlogging for too long at a time because it's pretty easy and simple. If you're that good at impromptu speaking, recording everything in one take. It is so annoying to try and be a vlogger and not turn into a Captain Jump Cut in the process. Plus, sitting in front of the webcam blabbering away for 20 minutes. I called it in 2009-ish or so when I first started recording these things. And now the YouTube world has completely changed to where, yes, there is audio content with just a picture on it, and YouTube even officially uses it. So yes, easy upload, easy on your bandwidth, gets the points across, gets the job done, crank the volume, and I'm not padding out the video part of this with gaming footage, unlike some folks on here, but we'll continue here. So the HD reality check, worth revisiting, because one of the things that I want to do in 2018 is branch out the content beyond just tinkering with PCs, and electronics and AV type stuff has always been the sort of thing that I've wanted to talk about on this channel, but I've kind of wandered away from it from time to time. But it is coming upon that time where I need to start thinking about replacing my AV receiver. It's developed a bit of a hiss problem. Maybe I should just redo all the capacitors. I don't know, but that's a completely different discussion altogether. And I don't have a producer, so I got to keep myself on track here. But this is kind of a, hey, y'all, how you doing, reintroduction to the whole podcast thing anyway. So, the HD reality check. It was my response to Z-Rants' HD rants from the late 2000s, which I fundamentally disagreed with, having a background that went far beyond movies into more general multimedia stuff, and using, at the time, my knowledge of what happened with other AV-type content like MP3 versus CDs, to guess that Blu-ray would not take over the world, as he was saying at the time. Oh yeah, Blu-ray, DVD's gonna go away, DVD's a transitional format, da-da-da-da-da. And I've point by point kind of gloated a little as I've recorded these things. But the thing is, this whole blabbering in front of the camera with a Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses for 20 minutes, no. People don't take that seriously for obvious reasons. Oh yeah, and spoiler alert, the times that I sat in front of the camera blabbering with a Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses is because I never blabbered in front of the camera with a Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses in front of the blue screen that I had planned. MultimediaJay with the Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses was supposed to be a character that would have constantly changing backgrounds, like pulsing colors, or, running around video game worlds or something along those lines. Kind of like, a Venetian princess used to do back in the days where she was the queen of the green screen, but, 10 times nerdier. So I kind of never sort of had the setup to really be consistent with that. So it kind of got a little disjointed. But as part of this whole character acting thing with the Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses thing, folks decided to gloss over some of the very legit points that I made simply because I was blabbering in front of the camera in a Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses indoors. So for those people, and for the people that want their memory refreshed as to why I've thought what I've thought about how Blu-ray has shaken out over the years, it's time to revisit these topics with a far more professional take on them and certainly a better sounding microphone. Z-Rants has returned to the fray. His audience demanded rants, and he finally started a little something last month called the Z-Rants. And at the very same time, as I've emerged from this darkness, that is, getting used to night shift again, I've plugged the PlayStation 3 back in, and that's now my Blu-ray player because, as I said earlier, Blu-ray on the PC is a total disaster. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the version of Power DVD that I've used on Steam to watch Blu-rays might be getting sandbagged in order to get me to buy the latest version, because the performance of it when watching the Blu-ray of Star Wars The Last Jedi wasn't all that great. I gotta see if I should enable 24p mode when Blu-rays are playing back, because in the very beginning of the movie, when the spaceships are all flying at the screen, it runs smooth as butter on the PlayStation 3, an ancient console from the mid-2000s, and it jerks around all over the place on Monolith. There's frame dropping and all kinds of wacky doodle stuff, and of course the sound kept glitching out as well. So I'm wondering if a VSync at 24 Hertz might be a little bit easier for the software to control, because nothing I could do in the settings was really fixing this. And again, I wonder if maybe I'm being sandbagged into buying the newer version of Power DVD that's available on Steam. So if that's the case, then I will officially just give up on Blu-ray on PC, because it is just far too complicated. I talked about those two magic words in the last time I discussed the HD reality check type stuff. Good enough. That's what the mainstream audience is looking for. They're not looking for the best quality anything these days. As they didn't settle on the most highest quality sound being normal, or being what they listen to the most with audio, I figured they wouldn't do that with Blu-ray either. And what do you know? DVD's still around. Streaming is kind of taking over DVD's place, but overall, lesser quality content that still gets the message across hasn't gone away. 4K still comes across to me as an overpriced gimmick that needs some more time to get fleshed out. And I still haven't run this 1080p Samsung TV circa 2008 with a cold cathode energy-sucking backlight that is now dead, so I'm stuck on backlight level 0 into the ground. Of course, even with backlight level 0, it's more than bright enough to function as a normal display. So I've been running it at backlight level 0 because it was bright enough, and I didn't want this thing guzzling any more power than necessary. And watching HD Nation back in the day, remember that show? I learned about the whole backlight thing, so I turned mine down, and I left it down for too long. Now the thing won't go back up. The backlight's dead, but the screen is still bright enough. So yeah, as I continue trying to kill this TV and grind my teeth over, oh, it's not power efficient, I should get something newer, but the old one still works. Yeah, anyways, I know it's totally randomitis going on right here, but I just want to kick the tires on this whole microphone thing and just say hello to you all, and where we're going from here with the audio-visual stuff, because I really need to replace all of those blabbering with sunglasses indoors discussions with something a little bit more like this. And it might be a good time to refine some more points, too. What I'm not going to do, though, is I'm not going to start any kind of wars with Z-Man. I am not going to do counter rants too much. I'm just going to, put my, take on things for people that want to listen that are in that crowd, so to speak. But the whole thing with YouTubers taking shots at each other, that's not really the sort of thing I want to do anymore. I want to entertain people, make them happy, and for some reason, I seem to be able to do that. I'd had someone thinking I sounded like Casey Kasem earlier. I think that might be a little embellished, but I definitely should chime in on some of this more audio-visual type stuff, because what's the channel called? The Wacky World of MultimediaJay. It's not computer anything, and computers have only been a secondary thing the whole time this thing's been around. Believe me, folks, technology goes far beyond tinkering with desktop PCs. So what about Zeren Isaac? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to his Z-Rants I Was Wrong video in the description so you all can go over and hear his little defense of, I couldn't possibly have known that the whole world was going to change back in 2008, 2009, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, well, the thing is, folks there's an elitist clique on here that was way overdue to be taken down a couple of pegs by what the consumers of the world have done since Blu-ray became a thing and since Blu-ray became affordable. I mean, nowadays you can buy a secondhand PlayStation 3 to watch your Blu-rays on. I mean, mine's firsthand. It's a PS3 Slim that I bought in 2012, and it still functions A-OK. I'm not going to try doing 4K Blu-ray on it, and I don't even have a 4K TV. And if you've seen the prices of 1080p TVs these days, particularly if you don't bother with the whole smart TV thing and just buy a Chromecast down the line, the prices of television seem to hint that 1080 is just like, yeah, it looks pretty, get it, boom, you got something. If you get some more money later on, go to 4K then. But it's kind of sort of just... It's kind of sort of just, hey, yeah, HD, you got it. There's lots of cheap Blu-ray out there. It looks pretty. Help yourself. Have at it. And I think even Z-Dog would agree with me on that one, considering he's finding Blu-ray players in thrift stores for $20. Yeah, well, $50 Blu-ray players, new, seem to be a regular holiday item every single holiday humbug season. And of course, streaming largely depends on the future of net neutrality. I mean, if Netflix is, or any kind of streaming service use, even the Chromecasts and stuff, streaming high-def YouTube and stuff like that, or even movies anywhere for people that use their, the United Digital Copy service that exists nowadays. It's been buying up all the former Disney movies, these movies, that movies, streaming services. You can link everything together and just tell your Google smart speaker thingy. I'm glad I didn't set the thing off. I don't have the mic muted on that. You can say, oh yeah, play this movie that I bought. And it's like, okay, playing the movie on blah blah TV. Or if you have multiple ones, you gotta specify which one. It's like, what TV do you want me to show that on? So, I will agree with Zeren Isaac, though, that it is a completely different world that nobody could have seen coming back in the noughts. We're far enough away from that decade, which I probably romanticize a bit too much, to finally start feeling like it's dated. I mean, if you watch some kind of movie that takes place in the 2000s, that was filmed in the 2000s, even James Bond Casino Royale, it looks dated. I mean, the Sony Ericsson phones, because Sony Pictures, blah, 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 the pre-smartphone phones that Daniel Craig uses in that movie and all that stuff from that decade, it's starting to look dated now. And, you know, it's a problem for my generation because we grew up with the 80s being this flashy thing and then the 90s were this grungy thing. So with no longer such radical differences between the decades, it's a bit hard for my generation to spot the differences as time marches on. But it's true. Time is marching on. We're getting old. We're all getting more gray hairs than we had 10 years ago. And the world is changing. The question is, what do we do with that change? Do we continue to insist that only the best, blah, 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 I'm going to stay in my HD elitist fishbowl, or do we actually want to be pragmatic? I've chosen the latter, and I've had plenty of time to gloat over being right about a few things over the years, but I'd rather not rub it in. I'd rather enlighten the other folks that have been stuck in their fishbowl and maybe get them to break the glass on that sucker and experience the wide world of, well, beyond their figurative fishbowl. I know, I'm Captain Random right now, and I'm Captain Rambly, because I'm like that hyperactive dog that's been in the house all day that finally gets to run outside when you get home from work. So I'm like, woof, 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 running laps around the house the minute the owner opens the door, and I'm scurrying around the yard. Yeah, whatever. Okie dokie. Enough of this randomitis for now. Let's try and get some more focus and pick some topics to talk about as we get this podcast series going again, finally, after a near-year hiatus. Because there's plenty of multimedia and tech stuff and other stuff to jump on the mic about. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. You're listening to MultimediaJay Radio Style. Don't touch that dial.